Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Nina Gervasi Show. Today, I have another awesome person with me today that is definitely going to inspire you. Meg McDaniel is definitely the person who is going to change the way you think about starting on your goals. So, Meg is here. She is actually in Atlanta, Georgia, just 6 hours or so away from me. So, I think that she and I need to get together and definitely have some fun. But she came to me through this mastermind that we are in together through Jessica Bergio. And it turns out she used to be a California girl too. So I am so jealous that these California girls had all the sunshine out in San Diego. And I'd like a little bit of that. So I'm going to put a plug in with Jess for us to go out there. So, Meg, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, so tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you are now, what you're doing for a living, and then we'll dive into everything.
Yeah, so I'm originally from San Diego, California. I currently live in Atlanta. I was actually living in upstate New York the last 5 years before I got here. And while I was living in upstate New York, I realized that it was time for a career change. So after 18 years in the beauty industry, I closed my beauty business, went back to school, and now I am a personal trainer and health coach for women.
I love that. So two very powerful things for women. One, transforming how they're feeling on the outside, and also you're transforming how they are on the inside because you're giving them a confidence boost both with their hair and their body and their health and everything about them. So that's putting them on a powerful trajectory in both ways, inside and out.
For sure. And I feel so passionate about this journey that I'm on because my health journey helped transform my confidence and my own self-love journey. And I truly want that for everybody, but especially every single woman deserves to feel that confidence, that feeling of being empowered, of feeling strong, of loving themselves.
So you took a chance. You took a big chance
Yeah.
on you had how many years did you say? 18?
It was about 18 years in the beauty industry. Yeah, I started doing makeup when I was like pretty much like 18 years old. So I
Uh-huh.
had done that my whole life. I had different iterations, but it was all I had known.
So you started in makeup and then you transitioned to doing hair. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I started as a makeup artist and then I went to hair school, honestly, kind of as a way to just like, I was working retail to supplement my makeup work. I was working at MAC Cosmetics, and a couple of my friends at MAC were like, we're going to go to hair school. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. My dad had just recently died, and I kind of think I
Mm.
needed a change. I went to hair school, did hair for a while, and then eventually my last kind of iteration in the beauty industry before I changed careers, I had my own beauty studio doing lashes, brows, and cosmetic tattooing, actually, which I really loved. It's stressful tattooing people's faces. That's like a whole new level, but that was the last thing I was doing before I left the industry.
Okay, I want mine done. So coming to you for this, I'll drive the 6 hours, come on down to Atlanta and have a
I actually
weekend.
have some recommendations for you. We'll have to chat. There's some people in your area that
Oh,
are pretty
awesome.
talented.
I can understand how for you it's probably scary being the tattoo artist working on somebody's face. And I'm sure there are people out there who are nervous having it done. But then there's me who's like, I never want to have to do it again. Just do it.
I have my eyebrows are done. I mean, it's really nice to wake up and just not have to worry about it
Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure. All right. So then you went from doing this, and how did you go? I mean, look, it's brave to even keep adding on to your career. Some people get into an industry and they stay there because it's safe. They stay there because it also costs money to take the classes, to take the next leap to doing hair. It costs money to take the classes to become the personal trainer and the health coach and everything that you're doing. So tell us a little bit about how like each transition went for you and how you are where you are right now. Because you did say that your own health journey was something that prompted this change. And so many women out there are afraid to make the financial leap or know it's tugging on them like it did on you because of your own health to do it. So tell them a little bit about all of that.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, my mom passed away unexpectedly in 2019, and I had recently opened my very first beauty studio on my own with a business partner in Los Angeles. And I remember after she passed, I just had this like, there was this little feeling of like, this isn't what you're meant to do, but I couldn't even
Mm.
entertain it. I was just trying to keep myself afloat. I had this business partner, we had this new business. I was like, that can't even be something I entertain. And then fast forward, I left LA during COVID, needed space to just like process. I also needed to heal everything I had gone through, and living in upstate New York, I think gave me that actual space to kind of quiet down.
Mm.
And when I got there, I opened my own beauty studio because I was like, this is all I know, even though I still had that feeling of like, I don't know, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was like, I don't know what else to do. I just need to figure something out. And all the pieces fell into place for me to open my own studio there, and which I'm very grateful for. But after about a year, everything was going really well. My business was successful. I was actually kind of at a point where I was like, do I need to move to a bigger location, bring other artists on? And I just had this knowing of like, this isn't it. And it got to the point where it was like, I was wearing shoes that were 10 sizes too small, full of rocks. I was so uncomfortable. And I think
What a
I
way to describe it.
it's that is how it felt. It got so loud, and I think I struggled with like, oh, you just opened this business, you're successful in it, you're good at it. How can you walk away from this? But I just was like, I can't. Every fiber of my being is saying no. And actually something my mom always said to me, in the words of the great Joseph Campbell, she always said, follow your bliss. And I was like, I'm not following
Mm.
my bliss. So, kind of to tie this all together to my own health, after my mom had passed away, I was newly sober, brand new sober, dealing with the loss of my mom, and I didn't know what to do. And something in me was like, just go. I had a gym membership to 24-hour fitness, and something in me was like, just go lift weights. I had never lifted, I had always struggled. I had disordered eating in the past, body dysmorphia. I was a cardio bunny. I just wanted to be as small as possible, cycles of like binging and restricting. And something was like, go lift weights. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't focusing on what my body looked like or how small I could be. I was obsessed with just getting stronger. And it was so empowering. And along the way, I realized how transformative it was in so many ways that I was like, this is the best I've ever felt. I want to share this with other women. I want to help other women realize like you can love yourself. And it kind of starts, it's like I reverse engineered how to love myself after hating myself for so long. Once I started like treat my body with that love and care and focus on getting stronger, this self-love kind of fell into place. So it was just this light bulb of like, this is what I want to be doing. This is what lights me up.
All right. I don't want to gloss over anything that you just said because you gave us so much in that. You had the strength to move cross country. And not only cross country, everybody, she went from the warmth to the cold, which I can't understand,
Yeah.
but you did it. So, I mean, that had to take, I mean, you left behind familiarity, you left behind something that was secure,
Yeah.
and you brand not guys, listen, she left her home. She left what she knew. She went to a new part of the country and opened a business. Like, that's huge, Meg. That's really big. You had so much, let me ask this. How much fear did you have? Because that is a big thing holding this audience back from taking the next step in their lives, let alone moving across the country for something unknown. So tell us about that fear in there that you maybe you didn't have any. Maybe you just had complete faith that it was going to work out.
At that time, so my mom losing, I had always thought when my mom was still alive, I was like, the worst thing that could ever happen to me would be losing my mom. Like, if I lost my mom, my world would fall apart. I would not be able to go on. And I had lost my dad. I knew what it was like to lose a parent, but I was like, if I lose her, I that's it. Like, she was my best friend. She was my rock. Like, my parents split up when I was 4. It was me and her for a lot of my life. And then the worst thing happened and she passed away and I was still standing, and it made me realize how strong I was. And I think that really helped me move through things without that fear.
Mm.
That fear was certainly there, but it was the fact that I was able to survive that. I felt almost unstoppable in a way. And that's not to say that it wasn't scary and I didn't have my struggles, but it was kind of like there was no other option in a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of also said that things fell into place and the business became successful. So
Mhm.
another, I think, thing keeping this audience back is they hear like, oh, it was just so easy for her, or they think like, there's no way I know what to do to have things fall into place. And
Mhm.
it's that again, that unknown of how do I get started? How do I do something different? How do I branch out that keeps them from ever taking one step forward? So now you're in a new place. You have a motivation, you have the strength, you have your why and all of this stuff. So tell us a little bit more about for that business, how things started to fall into place so that people can feel that inspiration. It's scary.
Yeah. So when my business, when I moved to New York,
Yeah.
yeah, luckily we moved somewhere where my boyfriend had a community,
There you
and
go.
which was a big reason why we wanted to move there is we already knew people, and I was able to, my boyfriend's a tattoo artist, the shop that he was working at, they're like, yeah, you can have your own space here. So it was, and we knew going into that, like it, we kind of set ourselves up of like, okay, this is going to allow us to kind of jump into a place where we're not total strangers. I think it would
Hmm.
have been so much harder if we moved somewhere where we didn't know anybody. So that I think helped is I wasn't going into it blind. And then I had told myself too, I was like, I've done this before. I know how to do this. And COVID, we actually, for my business in LA, we had moved to a new storefront a few months before COVID happened. And I think that was part of it too, is I was like, the wind got taken out of my sails. I need to prove to myself that I can do this and make it happen. And I still had that like fire in me to do it. So I think it was a culmination of all those things. And I also just, there wasn't any other option in my
There you
mind
go.
at that time.
Yeah, like when you described also, with your health and everything, when there's no other option, you're going to go for it. You're going to focus on this and you're going to do everything you can to make it happen, right? And
Mhm.
that's part of what made you successful was I'm glad you said you had a community that you went to because so many women are already sitting in a supportive community and they don't know that these people will support them. They
Mhm.
don't know that these people will be there for them. You and I have talked about this, and in our mastermind, we've talked about, what will people think when I start and going on this new path, when I start branching out and doing these things, and that fear of that. But what they don't realize is that community is probably going to be really supportive and give you what you need to start your business in terms of either moral support, financial support, like coming to your salon, whatever the case may be, they want to support you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the thing is the real ones do want to support you. They want to see you succeed. And I think we forget, I think so many women, especially, it's like we're used to just like, I'll figure it out on my own. I'll do it on
Mm,
my own. I'm not going to ask for help. But it's like the people that love you, they want to spend the money on you. They want
yeah,
to support your business. They want to see you succeed. And it's important to lean on those things. And that's actually something I really did when I was there, was like leaning into that community. I'm all about social media is really important, but I like that in-person connection and
yeah,
building like organically that way. I think that's the strongest way to build. That's how I've been through my whole beauty career. It's what I'm trying to kind of carry forward in this new career, but like lean on your community.
yeah.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't know what somebody needs out there within your community until you put it out there.
Mhm.
And then they're like, oh my gosh, I need this. That even happened to everybody who's listening on our mastermind. When Meg was describing what she is now doing with her health coaching, somebody in our mastermind was like, excuse me, I would like this help. And until you are vocal about what you're starting, your new endeavor, nobody knows you're doing it. And once you say it, somebody's going to raise their hand and say, I'd like this help. I would love to be a part of this. Tell me more. And, you know, having that strength to put yourself out there is really important for sure. I'm glad that you did it. And I'm glad you did it on the mastermind.
Absolutely, because I think too, I think at least for me, it's like if I'm going to go pay someone for something, I'd rather it be someone I know and I feel more comfortable. And I think that's something we forget too, is like, yeah, they want to support who's in their inner circle rather than going
Yeah.
to a stranger. So if you put out that you're doing it, they're going to come see you. But if you don't, they're going to go to the random Joe Schmo that they don't know.
That's right. That's right. I mean, everybody on the podcast knows I have both the real estate business and the coaching business, right? And so one thing is I've been doing it enough years where my brand, my name, is out there. However, there's other people who, if I don't say something or if another person doesn't say, hey, Nina's in real estate, they may never come to me for those needs. So you have to put it out and for sure, you know, market yourself in with your new business, which is
Mhm.
sometimes hard because now you're in Atlanta, you have a whole nother business going. So tell everybody about like that transition that you had.
Ooh, that was a big transition, and this was honestly, there's no going back. Like once I decide I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. But this has tested me in so many ways. I mean,
Mm,
I was so comfortable in the beauty industry, and
mm.
this is a completely new industry, starting over at 40 just feels really different. I think I was riding that high of feeling unstoppable after my mom. And then this time around, it's like you get older and you're like, oh, these are all the things that can go wrong. But what would I rather? Would I rather just be scared and try to figure it out or feel like I'm just uncomfortable every second of every day? I'll figure it out. There's no other option.
I love that. I mean, that whole idea of, I can take one path or the other, and you have always, it sounds like, continued on the path of, I'm going to figure it out. I'm
Yeah,
going to do this. And again, that takes strength, that takes faith, and not that you didn't have fear, you even with the fear, you continue down that path.
for
It's
sure.
unknown, right?
I,
I
I
mean, you
mean,
had no idea if this was going to succeed.
yeah. Still, I have fear every day for sure. And something that
Mm.
helps me actually is when I'm in my fears and feeling that I've tried to flip the script and like have more of a growth mindset. It's like becoming a coach has been really interesting because I have these tools for coaching, but sometimes I forget to apply them to myself. I
Right?
think
I
for all of
know.
us. And so I really, in those moments, I try to just like settle down and put on that kind of growth mindset of like, this isn't forever. You're not stuck. This is just part of the process. And I don't think it's fair to compare this journey in this new industry to my beauty career industry either, because there's such different paths and I can't expect them to look the same. Like things felt a lot more effortless in my beauty industry career, but this is so much more rewarding and fulfilling at like a very deep level for me. I don't have that question of like, is this forever? Like this is forever. So I'm going to figure out what I need to figure out to make it happen, whatever bumps I encounter along the way. And I mean, listen, there's plenty of sleepless nights, plenty of tears. Luckily, I have a really supportive boyfriend. I have so many supportive people, but I think it's just choosing to believe in myself and my dream.
I mean, whoo, again, you just dropped a ton of powerful nuggets. And I love that. The idea that nothing is permanent, like it's not forever, and this too shall pass.
Mhm.
When you're in that rut, you're in that gap of between here and there. You're not there forever. And
Mhm.
one of the important things in one of my previous episodes on the podcast is learning from whatever hasn't gone right. And when you're trying to move forward, if you don't pause and look at what just happened, you if you continue down going forward, you're always going to run into the same obstacles. And it sounds like
Yep.
what you're saying is they're going to come, but you have to learn from them and then you have to move on and move through them once you've learned from them.
Absolutely. And that's something I actually say with clients all the time is I tell them there's no failure. It's all feedback. Like you are
Yes.
going to encounter roadblocks along the way, but that's not because you did something wrong. It's just telling us, oh, that's not the right direction to go in. And I have to remember that for myself too, of like, okay, this is just telling me this wasn't the right way to go or directing me in a new way. And it's about being open to that instead of like, these are the things, this is how I want it to go on my timeline and it's going to work this way. You kind of have to put your hands up and be like, I'm not in charge here.
I always laugh whenever I like the best laid plans, right? That's what they always say. Well, what are you even trying to absolutely fit it into this timeline for? Because a million different things can take you in a different direction. And the beauty of it is exploring those directions
Yes.
sometimes, like you're doing and saying, who knows where this is going to take me, but at least I'm going to try and go for it. And you said sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, this is not like overnight success. This is not going into it with no fears, no worries, no like, I mean, again, I think one thing that financially or it's financial that keeps people from going forward, right?
Yes.
Like all the
Yeah.
finances and wondering if I do this, will I be able to afford it? Will I be able to afford my life? Will I be able to do all the things? And tell us about like how finances have played into your mindset because if you're always adjusting your mindset, that's something that's got to come up because it's natural for everybody to worry. Will I be able to afford my life or even have this get off the ground?
Absolutely. And that has been a big one. And as a starting out with a new baby business when you're 40 and you decide to move to an expensive city, that's really hard. And like when I decided to make this career change, we were living in upstate New York and our life was a lot cheaper. But moving here was a great decision. It needed to happen. But back when I first decided to make this career change, I took a job managing a tattoo shop. And I think sometimes you do have to make those, and I would even call that a sacrifice. I enjoyed my time there. I got to hang out with my friends, and it's something managing a shop is easy for me to do. But you kind of have to weigh it out and ask yourself, like, am I willing to kind of make these sacrifices for this bigger dream and be a little uncomfortable for a while? Like, my dream and having this be something that kind of affords me the life that I want is worth it. So, right now, in the meantime, I'll figure out what I need to do to make that happen.
Tell everybody what else you were doing for your big goal while you were working as a receptionist.
Yeah, so while I was managing the tattoo shop, luckily I was kind of doing that part-time and I was able to like afford to live doing that. And then on my days off, I was going back to school, getting these certifications, and I need to know everything before I decide to offer it to everybody. So I decided to get three certifications. And that was one thing too, is I thought, oh, I'll be done in like a year and then taking clients, and everything took so much longer than I thought. And I think that's one thing too, is you have to be patient. Your timeline isn't going to be the
Mm.
timeline you think it's going to be. So I was going to school, getting these certifications, figuring all these things out. And I mean, in the midst of all this too, I was just dealing with like some personal things, like you mentioned, moving to a place with winter, dealing with seasonal depression that I'd never had before. So I was managing a lot, and I just had to keep coming back to why am I doing this? And something that helps me is when I was deciding to make this career change, I thought a lot about like, what do I want my life to feel like? It's not like, what do I want it to look like? It's like, how do I want to feel in my life? And one big thing was like, I wanted this freedom. So my personal training business is online after being tied to in-person appointments for so much of my life. And I wanted that freedom. And I also wanted that fulfillment of helping women on a deeper level. And those were the things that helped me in those moments of like, why am I doing this? Should I just go get a normal job? This is crazy. Did I make a mistake? Should I go? It's hard too when there's people telling you, oh, you're not doing the brows anymore. You're so talented. And you're like, man, should I go back to doing that where I'm charging like $900 a pop for something? And right now I'm like, not sure how I'm going to pay rent, but I think being connected to your why helps you in those low, scary moments.
All right. So you said having patience with yourself. You talked about, right now, other people trying to put doubts in your mind. And I think these really tie in together because you have to give yourself grace, right? And have the patience for how it's going to turn out, and then have the wisdom of what your goal is, which is what you've done along the way. You've kept your big goal in mind that when somebody I mean, they're not saying it to put doubt in your mind. They're saying it out of, in their minds, concern, like, why would you leave something secure, which I'm
Mhm.
sure all the listeners here who want to do something either are afraid somebody's going to say that to them or they've already had said to them, to put that doubt of, can I go forward? Wait, should I go back to what I was doing, which was secure and safe, or should I continue down the path of? And
Mhm.
you had the wisdom at that point to say, no, I know my big goal.
Yeah.
I revisit it in my mind, and it's not, no, it's not easy. It's going to take time. I have to have patience, but this is where I'm going to go.
Absolutely. And I think too, I can't take all the credit because I've had some people in my corner, like my boyfriend and some close friends who really believe in me and support me. And I think having
Mm.
those cheerleaders goes such a long way because in those moments of like being really afraid, questioning myself, being able to like go to my boyfriend, for instance, and have him be that cheerleader of like, no, like this is going to be great. You're doing the thing. You're going to be successful. I think that's really important to find those people, and also the people who are the opposite and maybe can't support you. Maybe it's not even because they're a bad person, it's out of their own fears,
Yes.
trying to kind of push them out of your like little bubble because it's a very fragile state to be making a big change like that. It's really
Oh,
vulnerable.
yes. Say that again so they can hear it. It is such
Yeah,
a fragile state. I mean, gosh, you're taking big chances and anything anybody can say could like make everything crash
absolutely.
on you,
Yeah,
that whole you're just not sure yet and that doubt, that little bit of doubt can just wreak havoc in your systems.
yeah,
Talk about sleepless nights after somebody tells you something, right?
yeah, yeah. And you're
So,
like, what am I doing?
well, you talk about having like people in your court, right? Like having the people that support you.
Mhm,
We're part of a mastermind together, female entrepreneurs who are doing different things, and we're all different businesses.
mhm.
So I'm wondering, is this your first mastermind or have
Yes,
you been in one before?
yes,
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah.
this is great because I've been in another type of mastermind, but this is my first one of long term with female entrepreneurs like this. And this is what I want our listeners to hear is that Meg and I met on this journey of mastermind, right? And the thing about this is we're all in different places, but we're all here to support each other.
Yes.
We're all here to learn. We're all here to grow. And we may not have the people always immediately in front of us who can support us, but you need to seek out those groups that will be there for you. And
Yes.
even if you just are listening more than you are participating, that's going to give you the strength and the support that you need because you didn't even know it was possible. You may not even know it's out there. But once you start to get the love and the support, it's like taking those rocks out of your shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And feeling like you can walk again. And not only that, maybe you got some wings on the back and you can fly.
Yes, and I have to tell you, I mean, we're only like a month into this month full 6 month mastermind, and to me, if all I get out of this is that support of all these other ladies lifting each other up is worth all of it because we can't do this alone, especially if you have these big goals and you're making these big changes, like you really can't do it alone. Like you have to put the work in, but you need that support. It's so important, and I didn't realize until being in this group how powerful that is, especially of like other women going through similar things on different paths, lifting each other up. It's very special.
Yeah. One thing that Christine and I had an off camera conversation about that I want the listeners to hear because we talked just briefly even about like finances, right? And the
Mhm.
idea of it costs money to go on these endeavors and then it
Mhm.
costs money to start your business and all this stuff. But the other part of that then once you start gaining the momentum is being able to celebrate your success and
Mhm.
being around other people who are as successful or on that path to success allows you to celebrate in a way that's not bragging, that's
Yeah.
celebrating in a way that other women want to celebrate with you, cheer you on. Congratulations on that big month that you had, and whatever the case may be. Being able to tell another woman what you're doing, how much you're making, and then being like, hell yeah, you're making that much. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
you're doing it. There's, you have to find those groups like ours right now that's not a caddy group, that is looking to support you, that is either on your level or above your level. It's
Mhm.
okay. I love being the smallest fish in the pond. I love being the one who can learn from others. Doesn't mean I don't have something to offer other
Yeah.
people, but I'm never afraid when I'm in a room of other powerful women that I'm not making as much as them because they were once in my shoes,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And that's the thing to
Yeah.
remember for every woman listening. Somebody was once in your shoes, and now you're where somebody else once was. And we
Mhm.
just help each other climb together. That's part of it.
Absolutely. It's because it's aspirational and it's like there's room for all of us at the top, and someone being more wherever than me doesn't mean that I can't get there. It's more like, how did you do that? I want to do that too. And as we lift each other up, it's easier to lift yourself up.
Hmm. So where do you want your business now to go? Where do you see yourself? Because we've heard your journey to here.
Yeah.
What's your next steps? What are those?
Oh my gosh, so many steps. And that's what's been really interesting too of building this business is I feel like it's continuing to evolve. I think I thought things were going to be one way, like for instance, totally online. And now I'm like, I do want that in-person component. I'd really love to be teaching classes a few days a week. I'm trying to build a community is really what I'm wanting. Like I think
Mm.
so many kind of similar in a way to the mastermind. I want to apply that to women's health and fitness. And I want to create this community for women to feel safe and empowered to get stronger and lift each other up. So I'm trying to build community in that way. I want to do group coaching online too. So many things. I want to eventually write a book. I'd love to be sharing more of my story. And that's something that's been interesting too, is I feel we only touch like the tip of the iceberg of my story. And I have a lot to share and I want to be putting that out more too. So it's like all the growth is what I'm really looking for. I just want to make an impact.
Side note for everybody who's listening that in our group chat for our mastermind, I kept telling Meg, like, I can't wait to hear more from you. I'm feeling this energy from you on the calls, and I like just want to hear more. So when you get that book out, girl, I'm going to be so damn excited because that's, I think, what motivates me the most is when I see somebody and I hear their story. I'm like, hell yeah, tell me more, tell me more. And just learning from that is definitely going to help a lot of people. So you can't wait long to put it out there, girl. You gotta,
No, no, and
because
that's
there's
that's
people who need it.
yeah, that's what I'm learning, and that's what this mastermind is helping me with, and that was kind of I shot myself in the foot actually when I closed my business in the beauty industry. I totally went offline for this whole time period. And if I could go back, I would be documenting and sharing along the way. Because
Hmm.
now I'm like a little rusty of like being visible, sharing my story. So I'm kind of getting my sea legs with that in a way of like, okay, what is my voice? How do I want to be showing up? And I was so used to being behind the camera. I was in the beauty industry, whether I was on set or my work, I'm not showing me. It's the work that I'm putting out. So this has also been really interesting. I'm happy to share my story because I feel like it will help so many people, but it's the putting it out there and figuring out what that feels like. It's been kind of this like process.
There are so many women out there who are afraid to be on camera. So many
Mhm.
people who are afraid, what if I sound funny? What if I don't know what to say? What if I don't know how to act? I think about Talladega Nights. What if I don't know what to do with my hands? And he's just like always standing like this. They put his hands down and his hands went right back up. Like they're all these worries of I don't know how to be on camera. And the
Mhm.
thing that I think is so cool is I could see you being like an energy force on camera. I see this in you and you're starting over. And
Mhm.
that's another awesome thing is, I mean, guys, it's okay to start over. It's okay to even create a whole new Instagram account for your new endeavor. It's okay to begin again. And this is obviously what Meg is starting to do is also like explore this area, which this is fun to watch then. I guess people who don't know that you weren't on camera for all this time and doing all this stuff, now when we see you, just know we don't know that. We just see you
Yeah.
sharing your story.
Yeah.
And that's what I want everybody to hear is when I watch Meg, I would have never guessed that she was off camera, other than I knew some of her story. I'm not watching her stuff and thinking, newbie, like, or she doesn't know what she's doing. No. And the right now, for sure, the energy on social media is being authentic,
That's it. And that I
storytelling.
absolutely, and I think that's what's helping me show up and be visible is I'm
Yeah.
not trying to be anybody but myself.
Yeah.
And what really helps me is I just imagine like I'm talking to friends and I'm just sharing my story in a very casual way, being myself.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be anything but me. And in a world where everybody is trying to be like everybody else, I
Mm.
think that helps to remove that fear. Just be you. People need you to show up as you.
Yeah, I find for sure when I am scrolling on different content and either looking for a message or a message finds me. That's another thing you guys need to remember is that you're putting something out there thinking you're pushing it. Guess what? Somebody might be attracting your
Yes.
message,
Yes.
right? I mean,
You-
that's
Absolutely. Like somebody might need exactly what you were saying. Honestly, it happens in our WhatsApp chat with the mastermind. Like every time you ladies will like drop a nugget, I'm like, I needed that today. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that you're just putting it out there then and you're sharing and documenting and doing all the stuff. What advice would you give before we wrap up to the women who, number one, think of it in three parts. Number one, if they're afraid to start, right?
Mhm.
Number two, when they're in it and they have the fears. And then number three, once they're going, the momentum kind of thing. So, like getting started in the muck of the fears and keeping the momentum going.
So honestly, my answer to all three really is follow your bliss. And that is what I come back to every single time I'm struggling is like, this is what I'm doing. You know, both of my parents happened to be 57 when they passed away. I'm very aware of how short life is. For me, there is no other choice. I'm going to figure it out so that I'm not living in discomfort at this point in my life. I'm 40. I want to live authentically and do what I feel called to do. So following my bliss is a big part of it. Trusting yourself, I think, is a really big part too. And also giving yourself grace of like, you're going to have hard days. There's going to be struggles, but if you can give yourself that grace and also kind of like you're saying that momentum, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I think we want to, everything has to go this way and I need to be motivated and everything has to be perfect. But to me, it's about that movement. And maybe you have a day where all you can do is one tiny action to get you to your goal. Do that one tiny action. It doesn't have to be 10 million things. Baby steps.
I always say just 1% better than
Yes.
yesterday. That's
Yes.
even in my journaling thing that I give out on my website. It's like just 1% better. That's it. Like,
Yeah.
what is something today? And if you sit down at the end of the day and you really think, God, I didn't do anything good, you know what? There was. There was something good. You know what? Some days I write in my journal, Meg, you're going to laugh. But as a health coach, you're going to be like, good for you, Nina. Some days my 1% is I drank enough water today.
But that's great. And I feel like we live in this world where everything needs to be so grand and you have to have a
Uh-uh.
20-step morning routine. It's like, what about just like the one little thing you did for yourself? Like, let's
Right.
celebrate that. And I think that's a big part of it too, is like celebrate your tiny wins because
Yeah.
that's what's going to help you build that momentum.
Yeah. And get yourself around people who will support you. And
Yes.
if you have any questions, if you're listening to this right now, you have any questions for Meg, I'm going to connect all of her socials down below and everything that how you can get in contact with her, especially if you are now on a health journey. And I want to point out to every woman on this call, everything starts with your health journey.
Yes. Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Y'all, it starts, I'm going to say it, it starts in your gut. Doesn't even
Yeah.
start up here. It starts in the gut. Because once your gut's not good, guess what? This isn't good. And there is the connection and it goes back and forth. And Meg will work on you on your health, work on you in your mindset, work on with the physical side with you. So that is, if you don't start there, all the other things you want to do, it's just not going to happen, right, Meg? I mean,
A
like,
100%. And I think that's why this was so transformative is coming from, disordered eating, abusing alcohol, and then getting my health right empowered me in so many ways beyond the physical. And even now, when I have days and weeks, like, listen, it's not easy starting over and building a business. And I have plenty of days where I struggle and I'm like, okay, what's my priority? I need to get myself to the gym. I need to move. I need to eat good food, back to the basics. And I think that's a great starting point. Like if you're uncomfortable in your life and you feel like you need to make a change, like start with yourself. It starts from within. And
oh
then
my
who
gosh.
knows where you'll go from there.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing all of your nuggets
Thank
today.
you for
Thank you
having
for,
me
gosh, there are going to be so many people who are going to be inspired by this. And I'm so grateful that we met on the
too.
mastermind. I'm so grateful that you shared this with us today. And it's not easy. And you made us understand, like, even when it's not, you just continue to go forward. So
Mhm.
thank you so
Thank you,
much. All
Nina.
right. And everybody, please share this episode with anybody who you think would love to hear Meg's story or want to get in contact with Meg for anything health related in the fitness industry and health industry. Let me know if there is a topic that you want to hear or somebody you think I should interview that is really powerful in your life or even yourself. I would be happy to interview you and put your story out here because, again, your story is going to inspire somebody. Your story is meant to be shared Somebody will be moved by it. And until next time, thank you so much for listening to The Nina Gervasi Show.